Hey, I'm Eric, and I'm listening to 100 albums in 100 days. For all the details on what I'm doing and why, check out the video pinned to my profile. Today is a nostalgia pick for me. I listened to the 1978 album, the soundtrack from Grease, from the movie Grease. And I picked this because I have very specific memories that relate to this soundtrack, this album. And I've seen the movie now as an adult, hundreds of times probably. Maybe not that many, but yeah, probably that many. But I don't think I've ever sat down and listened to the soundtrack in my headphones in years. Well, I don't think I've ever listened to the soundtrack as an adult, other than the movies, not just listening to it. So the memories I have from when I was a kid. So this came out when I was 8, and I was in 3rd grade, maybe 3rd grade sounds right. I remember being in 4th grade and this soundtrack and movie being so huge. In the 8th grade, or 8th grade, when I was 8, when I was in the 4th grade, I remember our music class. We sang. As a group of 4th grade, a 4th grade ensemble, we sang "We Go Together," and I still remember all the words. And we also sang "You're the One That I Want," which, what business does a 4th grader have singing that song? But our teacher at the time, I guess she liked Grease. I don't remember her name, but she had us singing those 2 songs in music class in 4th grade. That's how big this soundtrack was. The other huge memory I have of this album is, at that time, we lived in a little town in southern Oklahoma called Duncan. And my next door neighbor was also my age. She was one of my best friends. Her and her mom lived next door, and her name was Ann Blanton. And they had a copy of the album. And I cannot tell you how often we listened to that album whenever I would go over there. We literally, every time I would go over there to play with Ann, and like I said, we're 9 years old, at least no more than 9. Every time I would go over there, we're listening to the Grease album. We're lip syncing, we're singing along with the albums. We're also, Ann had worked out choreography to some of the songs. Her and her mom were just in love with that album, and it was playing every time I went over there. And I remember that vividly, that when I would go next door to Ann's house, I knew what we would be doing, and that's listening to the Grease soundtrack. So those are the 2 big memories I have of this album. When I was 8 and 9 years old. My favorite songs on this have to be Sandy and Hopelessly Devoted to You. Those are probably my 2 favorites. I take that back. Probably There Are Worse Things I Can Do. Is that the song that Stockard Channing sings? I really like the way Stockard Channing sings. She's and her character is probably one of my favorites in that movie. And even as an adult, when I watched that movie, I'm like, why in the hell were we watching that when we were kids? It is not kid friendly at all. And now that I've listened to had the headphones on and listened to all the lyrics that I forgot were on those songs, I'm like, why in the hell were we listening to that album and those songs when we were kids? But we were. So my favorites have to be, like I just said, but there's just a lot of songs on there that I remember from when I was a kid and that I can sing along to still. And so so if you're a Grease fan, let me know what's your favorite songs. Do you have a memory about this album from when you were younger? And I'm going to say something now at the end of this video that's going to make some of you mad, but that's okay. I can handle it, and so can you. By and large, I am a bigger fan of Grease 2 than I am of Grease. Both the movie and the soundtrack. In my book, both of those are better than Grease. Discuss.